to a well-designed business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hey, new things happening here on the podcast. I wanted to let you know that nearing 700 episodes, we have been getting questions and hearing remarks from you about how it is so hard to find the podcast at this stage and get your brain around it, right? Like, where do you start? Where do you start listening to? And it's a little overwhelming. So we're doing two things here. The first thing we're doing is we are literally going back to the entire back catalog and beefing up the collections. There are certain collections on my website now that if you're interested in certain topics, you can go to and find those episodes. But we haven't really kept up with it. And when I really looked at the collections, there weren't enough categories. So expect over the next month or 2 months for that to be really, really easily searchable for the type of episode that you're looking for in order to make a difference in your business, okay? And the second thing that we're doing is we're going to be sprinkling in Flashback Friday episodes. We normally do Power Talk Friday on Friday, or we do sponsored shows on Friday. But we're going to be sprinkling in Flashback Friday because, again, if you are new to the show, there's a lot that you've missed. And how would you know which one to pick from? So today is our first Flashback Friday episode. That's a tongue twister for you. And today's show is featuring Tiffannie White, the Nappy Bohemian. This show originally aired 2 years ago, April 23rd, 2019. Okay. And I selected this show because Tiffannie are pretty regular friends on Instagram DM. Okay. You'll hear us in the show. That's how we first became aware of each other and knew of each other, and she came on the show. But I've gotten to know her over the last couple of years, and I've noticed many new initiatives in her business. And I have to say, when I was thinking about where would I start, of course, there's like a billion shows that I love, all of them, it's like picking your favorite kid. But I literally just went, I want to shine a light on Tiffannie. She's working hard out there and she's impressing me with what she's doing. And I thought, if you're new to the show and you don't know her, it's a good thing for you to know Tiffannie. And if you are not new to the show, maybe you need to be reminded of Tiffannie, okay? And I also want to share, this was a recent text message that she sent me. She said, Luann, first news of worldwide COVID outbreaks. Then losing my mother, combined with the social injustice woes, it all took a toll on my mental health. I needed to add more why into the things I was doing. With a new love for therapy and mindfulness, I added a handmade self-care shop into my interior design studio. I also make sure now that clients know my goal is to spread how important it is to take care of our mental health, both in our homes and in our souls. And then she continued, you know what they say, maker's gonna make, right? So today, listen to Tiffannie's journey, her original journey in starting her interior design firm. But even then, 2 years ago, you hear the strength and the intention that she has in the commitment to her business, to herself, and her children. And I want to make sure that you visit her website at thenappybohemian.com. You'll be able to see her work. You'll check out her blog and indulge yourself in the products that she is hand making to help you feel a little better in whatever you might be going through. Okay. Lastly, I want to share that Tiffannie will be on my daughter's new podcast, Sass Says, the therapy sessions we didn't know we needed. She will be sharing on that podcast the personal side of her journey and why she knows how important mental health is and how it is informing her and her business now, and the growth and the pain, quite frankly, and the growth that she's experienced over the last several years. Okay, so please check out my show notes and my Instagram stories for all of the links. All right, now thank you so much for joining me again today, and I hope that you enjoy this Flashback Friday from 2019. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today I'm going to talk with Tiffannie White, the creator of the Nappy Bohemian, located in Oakland, California. In addition to being a blogger, an interior stylist, and e-designer, Tiffannie also has a full-time position at Fireclay Tile. After spending most of her years as a career sales professional, in 2017, the Nappy Bohemian was born. Tiffannie wanted to merge her architecture education, her love for tile and ceramics, and her desire to showcase the real Black experience in the world of interior design. In the conversation today, Tiffannie describes how she loves her job as a design consultant with Fireclay Tile. She's not looking to leave that job. That's a little bit of a twist for us here, right? And she talks about how it has allowed her to have both an inside look on the world of artists and makers, and it has allowed her to connect with terrific designers in her East Coast territory. Many of these designers have become friends, and one has become a mentor to her. Tiffannie is open about her lessons and her challenges in her first year or so in business, and we learn about her goals for how to do better and more in her next year. Before you meet Tiffannie, please give a thought to our show sponsors, My Doma Studio and Kravit. You know My Doma Studio is the very best platform for managing your interior design projects, from client relations, vendor communications, and time tracking, right? Time tracking, okay? And if you haven't heard, you can also source curated Kravit product right inside your My Doma Studio platform. That's right. You don't have to go in and out of websites. You can do it all right there. You can select product, price product, and sell product. How easy is that? To find out, go to mydomastudio.com/a-well-designed business. That's MyDoma, M-Y-D-O-M-A, studio.com/a-well-designed business, and you can set up your trial right now. Okay, let me introduce you to Tiffannie. Hey, Tiffannie, thank you so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hi, Luann. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad we're finally talking in real life, right?
I'm so excited.
I am too. And I'm so happy that, it's funny. You had to remind me. And then as you were reminding me, I went on my phone and looked at it. It's funny because you reached out to me. You work as a consultant for Fireclay Tile. And
Yes.
one of your accounts is Beth Diana Smith. Big shout out to our friend, right?
Yes. Hey, girl.
Yeah. And you said to me, this lady, I know her. I think she's amazing. I think she'd be great on your show. And I'm like, wait a minute. I know Beth. We do her work at Window Works.
Yes.
So
Love her.
I think it's so much fun. And of course, just full disclaimer, Beth and I have had 2 interviews scheduled. One, I cannot remember the reason we rescheduled. And the other was more recently when my computer crapped out on me on the day of interview day. So Beth Diana Smith is coming to the show for everybody. So
Yes, and she's excited to do so.
Yeah, I'm excited to have her too, because I just, she's become a good friend to me and to Kim and our team at Window Works. So we're looking forward to it. Okay, but today's all about you, Tiff.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so you are interesting because in the little bit of conversation that we've had off air, I am surprised that you're in business only the couple of years that you are, because you seem very put together and intentional. And so I'm curious to get a little bit further into your business and what you're doing.
Yes, of course.
Yes. One of the things that I want to start with you, Tiff, is I have to say, I was just recently at the Boston Design Center, and we did a panel discussion there with Kyle Hupner and Tori Malott and Rachel Ryder. And we had a big discussion in front of almost 300 designers about how to differentiate yourself and how to create value for yourself. And I said to the designers in attendance there, it isn't always this big, amazing, huge, loud thing. And I want to share with you something that I read on your website that I thought was so outstanding. Yes, you said that your 3-year-old had an asthma attack and spent a week in the hospital, and it was terrifying for you, but your 3-year-old remembers it as a fun vacation because the hospital was so nicely decorated, and that made such an impression on you, how important design was. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh man, that was such a scary time. So I have a daughter. I have 2 children actually. My son is now 3 and my daughter's now 9.
No.
But then she was 3 and I brought her in because she seemed to have trouble breathing. They were having a hard time managing that in the emergency room, and they decided to admit her. Now, anyone with kids knows my stomach was hurting and I was crying and I hadn't eaten and it was just too much. But her stay, looking back, she talks about just the painted walls and how she got to walk around and see all the animals painted on the ceiling and how there were TVs in every room and everyone was so nice to her. Things were so bright, and I couldn't believe that she manifested such a traumatic experience where she literally could not breathe for about a week and didn't see it as a life or death situation. She saw it as something that she admired. And even to this day, big shout out to Kaiser Permanente. She still talks about, remember when I was at Kaiser for a week and I loved it? And I'm like, yeah, Malaysia, I do remember.
Yes, Mommy remembers it. She doesn't remember it quite the same as you, but she does remember it.
Definitely. I had to bring flowers back. And if I ever found out who, helped design that space, then I'd have to give them a hug.
Yes. Well, I have to say 2 things about this. Is number one, this is so truly the type of thing that I struggle to put my finger on in the moment when I'm talking at a presentation with designers. When I say the sentence, it doesn't have to be big, because you have 3 or 4 lines about it on your website. It's not like, this big sob, sad story. You don't go into the whole crazy thing. You just say how it influenced you and made you realize how important beautiful designs are in each person's life. And that is that just creates such a connection. Like, I read that and I just went, I like this lady.
Ah, thank you.
Right. And
it was just so important for us.
Right. And I also
took a lot of that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I took a lot of that information and I realized that I could do more in my personal space. And, that's where the power tools start coming out and the paintbrushes and, really creating like my girl Beth Diana Smith always says, a cultural oasis in my house, so that I can recreate that feeling. I want someone to walk in, someone to feel like impacted just by the aura and the vibe. So that's really important in how I handle business and how I handle designs going forward.
That's interesting. So it's a whole nother way that I was going to go down, a different way than I was going to go down. But that's very interesting too. Okay, so I just want to tie that other one up there. So the other one is that as a quote unquote stranger, now we're not strangers, right? But I haven't met you in person. We're Instagram friends, right? That's the extent of it. So as a quote unquote stranger coming to your website, it immediately spoke to me. It made me understand that you value interiors at a level that's deeper, and that you take seriously what you do because you had a serious connection to how it affected your child's life. And any parent knows that's hard to trump that. I mean, you make
Oh, thank
somebody's
you.
kid feel good. Like, seriously, we
Yeah,
all know that's a
it goes a
significant
long
moment.
way
Exactly.
for
And so,
sure.
so I love that. And now to go ahead and to hear you say how you have taken it to other places, to your own living, to your own environment. It sounds like you said, hey, you know what? What about me? What about us three when we come home here, our family, whoever
Mhm.
that is, right? And
Mhm.
then also when you are working with your clients, you're expressing to them that they deserve this sort of attention and care and detail in their own environment, right?
Definitely. Things can be so crazy on the outside world from, anything from politics to personal life. It's just we're bombarded with so many different pulls and pushes and different emotions. And I just really believe that creating a holistic space is really important, and it should be looked at when you're designing where you're going to be at most of your life, whether that be your work life, your home life, whatever that is. It should all bring a certain calm and serenity, a certain creativity, a feeling of welcome, that you're welcomed in your space. Um, so that's just something that I
Mm-hmm.
always think about when I'm trying to help someone else achieve that same
Right,
goal.
right. And the big message here, the big lesson is all the touchy feely stuff is genuine. I know that it is. But the big message here from a business standpoint is that if you were to simply just say those things on your website, I want you to have a holistic feeling. I want you to feel loved. I want you to feel honored.
Right,
I want to feel you to
right.
feel. That's all terrific, and it would still be as true. But this is the huge the Fred Burns your only moment, because
Mhm,
you connected to that very very personal experience with your daughter.
mhm,
It
mhm.
just rings so authentic, as opposed to
Oh,
I'm
great.
just saying these things because I hope to attract somebody that wants a holistic environment, right?
Right,
You
right.
see
Because
the
everybody
difference that
says
I'm
that.
saying, right? Like, you see the difference what I'm saying
Yeah,
from an
yeah.
outsider looking at it and analyzing it from a business perspective. This is
Right.
the Fred Burns your only sentence, and that's why I try to say to people all the time, it doesn't have to be huge. It does not have to
Definitely.
be a big differentiator. It's something, but it's usually something that's so personal and unique to you. And so I love it. And also too, I just wanted to say that if in episode 41 I interviewed Cheryl Janis. Now I don't know if you've gone back to the shows that early yourself, Tiffany, but if anybody else is listening to the show new, episode 41, Cheryl Janis is an interior designer that had different experiences, but also personal experiences with traumatic injuries and
Mhm,
hospital stays,
mhm,
and but had the opposite experience, that they were
mhm.
not supportive of her recovery and not supportive of well-being. And she described in her episode how, as a practicing interior designer, because of those experiences, she was inclined to specialize in health care boutique facilities and
Oh,
creating, and
wow.
right. And she described how she was scared to death to narrow her firm all the way to that niche, but then when she did, her business just blew up. I mean, it literally
Right,
blew up. So, I
right.
mean, if that's of interest to you or to anybody listening to hear about that episode is number 41. Okay, so now
That's
back.
beautiful.
Yes, it really is. I mean,
Yeah,
she's created a whole thing. I mean, this is a couple years
right,
since I've interviewed her, and she's got a whole new business platform based off of it, and it's amazing. And I
right,
think she's an
right.
amazing woman too. So,
Yeah.
okay, so here's what the thing is. Now you have really just opened your business a year and a half ago, right? 2 years ago?
Right.
Yes.
It's still what I would say in its infancy.
Yeah, you're a baby
Um,
designer.
I'm a baby. Yeah.
That's it. So
Um,
tell
I
me
feel like
about.
I'll probably still feel that way, for the next few years or so.
Mm,
But looking back, I am really proud of, where I've been able to grow things, and even the hard lessons. I'm proud of those too. So,
right, right. You have to be, because I mean they're well earned. I always say you make a mistake usually if you're pretty, on the ball thinking. The big
yeah,
hard ones, you make them once.
Yeah.
and you can't begrudge them because it's the only way you learn. That's how you
Right.
really, smacks you in the head. And so you
Well,
got to pick yourself up. So
right.
tell us a little bit about your first, 18 months in business, Tiffannie. What are some of the outstanding things that occur to you that you think are valuable to share with your peers listening today?
Great question. So I have listened to tons of your podcasts and I've read tons of different blogs and I've Googled how to be an interior designer a million thousand times before really doing something about it. And one of the biggest things that I heard you say is like, what are you going to do with all this information? When are you going to actually execute? When are you going to actually put in the hard work, knock on doors, shake some hands, really find like your only statement, like you really, like you talk about, and do something about it. So that has kind of really pushed me in various directions with the blog, as well as really focusing and honing in on e-design for me, um, as well as just analyzing where I want to be and what are those baby steps that I need to do to get there. So that's where 2018 has brought me, really.
And so, if we take it apart a little bit, Tiffannie, so it sounds like, obviously, that there's been a lot going on. First of all, I congratulate you for not just having notebooks filled with ideas and to dos and ways to run your business and to doing them, but take something in particular for us. Did you set up well, you mentioned e-design. So let's maybe talk about that for a moment. So
Okay.
do you have systems for e-design? How are you doing that? What are been the growing pains with that? How do you find your blog, I imagine, is attracting your e-design clients?
Right. The blog, Instagram. So I started focusing more on e-design because of the fact that that's kind of what I was already doing anyway for work through Fireclay Tile as a design consultant. My territory is on the East Coast, but I'm in California, so I'm helping design spaces virtually, and it just came natural to me. So I just really wanted to push in that direction, and I make it so that I offer several different packages depending on what you need. And usually it's just to design by a room. And I have pushed mainly through Instagram in order to drive that clientele.
So tell us a little bit about that's interesting because I get varying accounts on Instagram. Now, you have about 1,000 followers on Instagram. How often would you say that you are getting a client through Instagram?
I I see that's that question is so multifaceted because when I first started off, anybody that was interested, I was like, I have a client, you guys, I have a new client. But then now I realize that if they're not paying you, they are not your client. So
No, that's a friend that you're doing a favor for, whether you know
exactly.
them or not.
Exactly. So, I've been reeling back on just giving out blind advice and making sure that the financials are taken care of first. But I would say about one client a month will come through Instagram, and a lot has been building from a word of mouth perspective as well too now.
Okay, but I have to tell you, you almost sound like you're thinking, well, I'm going to tell her it's only one client a month. But I have to say, other than, accounts with tens of thousands of followers or even thousands of followers, I think by and by most designers aren't necessarily getting one client a month from Instagram. And so I think that it's nothing to be overlooked is my point. There's many designers.
Thank you.
Yes. So there's many designers listening right now that would say, all right, I'll take 12 new clients this year. I mean, think about it. That's 12 new clients.
Yeah, it is pretty big.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. And I've always felt like I wanted to venture into other social media platforms. I know a lot of people use Facebook heavily. I haven't really been able to tap into that like I have with Instagram. So I would love to see, how that would look as well too. But for now, I've primarily been focusing on a friend of a friend heard about me, or like I revamped the lounge at my son's school and teachers told other friends and things like that. So the word of mouth as well as the Instagram.
Okay. And so when somebody, do you have any specific strategies that you are utilizing for Instagram? Do you have the, I can see your Instagram is showing a lot of color. So this is important to you, correct?
Yes, it is.
Right. This is part of your signature. You're not,
Right.
the white and
No
gray
all white
interiors.
kitchens over
Yes,
here.
yeah, exactly. Right.
Right.
And so that's good. So
Exactly.
that's awesome because you're standing in your space and you're saying, I like color. This is good. And that's great because you know what? There's a lot of people that like white and gray kitchens, but there's a lot of people that don't. That's just
Right.
the reality of it, right?
Right.
And so you're doing that. You're not being afraid to be you in your color expression. What else are you thinking is the keys in what you're doing that attracts that one client a month to you?
Well, I also believe that it has a little bit to do with the name. So when I was looking into how I can say that I am a person of color, I really value the holistic lifestyle, and I was coming up with all these different names. And when I settled on the Nappy Bohemian, I just really fell in love with it. And for a while, I would go back and forth with other people and felt like, well, was nappy too harsh of a word? Is there like a positive spin on it? And it is. I have dreadlocks in my hair, and I always have maybe like a head wrap or something colorful that I would wrap around my hair. And I really wanted to showcase that and say that I am the designer that is okay with being me. I'm okay with designing in color, designing in texture. And when I say in color, I mean both from, your red, orange, blues, as well as from an African American perspective. So I think a lot of that that name kind of sparks interest. People are like, wow, I wonder what she's talking about.
So you know what I'm hearing is it's almost the same as Cheryl niching all the way to just doing holistic well spaces and wellness design because it was important to her, and so she did it. And so you are saying, who am I? Who am I? What's important to me? And you're living in it. And the thing is, because if I look at your Instagram, Tiff, it's not an education in, the 10 best practices for Instagram. Right? Like the grids aren't necessarily, the 9 grid isn't necessarily this cohesive look.
I've tried that. Oh my goodness. I can't do that. I admire anybody that can, that uses like the same filter or has the specific color palette. I just cannot.
But this is the thing, and this is what I love about it, is that I meet designers that will say to me, my portfolio doesn't look like Shay McGee's portfolio. So how can I make an effective Instagram account? And this is the thing. It goes back to the words on your About You page. It's so you, and the people who connect with that, they connect with that. And with 900 or 1,000 followers, you don't need more than one person a month to connect with that. What I'm saying is, to have 1,000 followers and one person a month to connect, I think that's a great ratio. And then beyond that, you necessarily don't need more than that to connect with it, because then you still have your other network of the people and the coworkers and the friends and the referrals.
Right.
It's pretty cool. I mean, so you're really not doing any of the, I do 16 comments on a post and I do it at 2:00 on this day.
No.
You're just being you. You're just doing you.
I just can't. I mean, I can't figure out the algorithms. I've tried,
I love it.
There's still things that are on my to-do list. Like I want to tap into the Instagram TV and things like that. I just haven't been able to do that. And I don't want to feel restricted. This is my creative outlet. And I don't want to say, I have this post and I would love to post it, but I can't because it's not Tuesday. So I just have to go with the flow and trust that
I love it.
what I'm putting out will attract the right listener.
Well, and here's the other thing. So I don't want anybody listening to think I am saying, throw all the rules for Instagram out. The heck with it.
Right.
Whatever you do
Right.
will work. The thing
Right.
about it is, and what I'm really trying to make so clear in it is that you are doing the number one rule of Instagram, which is be you.
Yeah.
And you're showing how if you're only going to do one quote unquote Instagram strategy,
Right.
that's the one to do.
Right.
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 That's
And I
awesome.
agree with you. Like, there's no shade to anybody else. I just
Right.
don't have that talent.
Right.
I don't have that execution skill to say that I am going to restrain and make sure that everything fits a certain criteria. So it's like, I value that. I will look at those beautiful pages and think, wow, they
Yes.
really got it together,
Yes.
you know?
Right. Right. And the thing is that neither one of us are going to sit here and say, and probably within 6 months, you're going to have 20,000 followers on Instagram. So we're not saying that you can ignore all of the actual known strategies to Instagram and still build a multi 10,000, multi 100,000 person platform. But the fact of the matter is if your goal is for clients, hello, I'll take 12 new clients this year if I'm an interior designer, right?
Right.
Especially you're in business a year and a half. Come on, we'll take 12 new clients.
Thank you.
I think it's awesome. I think it's great. I mean, it's a great base because here's what happens. From a strictly number standpoint, you opened your business in the beginning of 2018. We're having this conversation into the first quarter of 2019. If you do one client a month for 2019. That's 12 new clients. Each of those 12 new clients, if they only refer you one time, that's 24 clients next year from that same, plus you're going to theoretically get 12 new clients from the same Instagram strategy. That's 36 new clients in 2020. Right. Like, I'm sorry. That's how this crazy pants stuff works. It starts to multiply.
Yes. I've accepted all that good vibes.
That's it.
That's beautiful projections, and I would be more than happy with that.
Right. And of course, again, that's just one revenue stream from one marketing arm. So in other words, you still have your blog, which is attracting people, and then you still have your circle of influence, which is attracting people. Right. So I mean, it just really sets up that it could be a very nice base for a growing design firm. So good for you.
Yeah.
Good for
Thank you.
Yes. So tell me about some of you had this year, you took action, you set up a lot of things, you've had clients. Can you think of a single thing that you experienced that was difficult, challenging, that took you by surprise, that would be helpful for somebody to know?
Yeah, so I got into e-design thinking that at the end of these projects that I would just have a beautiful high resolution image that I can share on my Instagram and share on my website. And that hasn't happened. I think I didn't really forecast that when you have this e-design process, you are providing the tools for everyone to execute what they need to execute. However, that at the end of the day, they will do that on their own terms. So that is something that I really had to find an alternative way to say, this is what I do, even though you might not see what a finished project looks like. I still can show you what these mood boards look like. I can talk a little bit more about the process and the shopping list and the care and love that you'll receive throughout the way. But I just don't have that high resolution imagery that everybody loves to see. Everybody loves a good before and after. So I really had to be okay with that going forward into 2019.
So that is a sort of big aha moment, right?
Where
you're like, didn't think about that part.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Now, are you familiar with Albie Boabang and from Cheney Widmer, both of them that are coaches and help interior designers learn how to execute e-design?
No? Are you going to tell me?
Oh, yeah, you got to get on those, lady. So
Okay.
I'll have to look up the show numbers for each of these women, but they both help e-designers. They both help designers that want to either fully specialize in e-design or
Hmm.
that want to have it as one of their ladder of services. So
Okay.
they help you through the different steps and the processes. They both have a program for it and stuff. And I know both of these ladies, and they're both outstanding women. And so since you're brand new at it, and anybody else listening, if you didn't know about these episodes, I'll find the episode numbers. So,
Okay, cool.
but yeah, so that's great. And I'm sure that I would not be one bit surprised if they address that in the courses that they have, you know?
Right. Okay.
So, okay. So,
Love
but
that.
for you, that was a learning moment where you
Hmm.
realized, because here you are, you're giving all the information, you're giving the packages, you're giving the instructions, but somebody might take 3 steps this month and not do the other 4 steps for 6 months. So, and
Hmm.
even if they do it all at once, you're finding they're not being cooperative in, hey, sending me back the picture, or they are, but the picture isn't great.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Right, because you can require
Exactly.
them to take a picture. I mean, I guess you could try and require them, but I know what the
Right.
pictures of our window treatments look on my iPhone. It's like, come on, that doesn't even do
Right.
it justice.
Right. The
Like,
lighting's always weird. The angle's always weird. And
yes.
I do encourage. I let my clients know that everything that we do at the end of the day, it is really visual, and having imagery really helps. So, there is a push for it, but it's not always there.
Yeah. And like I said, I can stand there in a room where my partner has just installed the most amazing treatments, and I take a picture and I look at my phone. I'm like, that doesn't even look the same.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's like, I guess that's why professionals, it's like, step away from the iPhone, man. You're not a professional.
Definitely.
So that's
Sure.
fun. Okay. So,
And then another
ha-
thing
yeah.
about like lessons, and
Hmm.
this is something that I talk with Beth about all the time, is when I first started getting a little traction, and I would talk to prospective clients, and I would do different consultations. I almost felt a sense of guilt when it came down to talking about how much it would cost. And not because I felt like it was expensive, but because I was so worried that someone would want to use my services and couldn't afford it, or couldn't justify purchasing an e-design package. And when I say it's not, it's not expensive. It's just
Right.
more of a personal thing. I grew up in a single parent household. It was always just me and my mom, and things were always tight, and things like interior design at that point in my life seemed more of a luxury. So I've kind of created more of a model about having interior design for all, so to speak. But even then, I was always nervous, and I've always wanted to, well, maybe I can give you this deal, or maybe I can give you that deal. And that is something that you just cannot do. You have to really value what you do, and you have to understand that you're not doing it for free unless it's a hobby. Yes, but if you want to have a thriving business, you have to be okay with your price point. Make sure that that covers all the energy and time that you're going to put into these projects, all the love and consideration and passion that you're going to put into those projects. You have to be compensated for it. So I'm finally at the point now where I'm just like, okay, I read something recently where it said, if saying how much it costs doesn't make you feel a little nervous, then you're not charging enough.
Right.
So that's one of the lessons that I learned in 2018 as well too, is just that you have to be okay with having the financial discussion.
Okay. So I can hear in there how real this was for you and to get over this hurdle. How do you think you ultimately did get over the hurdle, Tiffannie? Did you give away your services one too many times where you finally were looking at yourself and saying, this is awesome, but they got all the value and I didn't? Like, what was
exactly
okay,
that's
so that's
exactly what happened. Yeah. And then you look back on it, and they have a pretty space. They're really happy. They're talking about how great you are. But at the end of the day, how many, long nights it took to get to that certain point. So, especially when you look at your kids and they want you to play with them and you're like, oh, mommy has to work a little longer. All of that comes into play if you're giving away, your talent or giving away your work and not being properly compensated for it. It has to be a trade-off.
And so are you saying, I think I hear you saying, I don't want to put words in your mouth though, are you saying that after the end of however many projects that were that way, that ultimately something that you thought you were doing because you loved and you enjoyed ultimately left you feeling unhappy and unsatisfied?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know that, I look at my babies and I know that they're young and they deserve a lot of my attention. And when I have worked all day and I come home and I have to work some more, it better be worth it.
And so that's a powerful lesson right there. And I have to say, you know me, guys, I usually can remember who told me something on a show and my brain is really searching for it right now, but it might have been Albie. There has been a person on the show who has said almost the exact sentence: if I am not with my babies and I'm doing something for you, I have to be getting paid right now. Right. And so, and the thing is, what it is understanding that whatever your experience is, so your experience was having that experience of being raised by a single mother and having that experience of not having all kinds of disposable income at her beck and call so that you guys could whatever. Right. And so you understood that money is precious. So it puts you in this place where you wanted to help and share with someone else. But then when you get to that place and you helped and you shared and you spread all of that love and that joy on that person, you come back and you look at your own little babies and you're like, what's that for? Right? What did I do that for? And so that's awesome to hear, because there's somebody right now doing the same thing. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we know there is, right, Tiffannie?
Right. Especially when you're first starting off, because you just want the projects, you're just so eager to get your feet wet that you're willing to compromise in certain areas. And so you just got to be careful with that.
Well, and I'm so glad that you just said, so you have to be careful with that, because I don't think any one of us that has gotten a business up off its, little booty and standing on its two legs has not done something for free, given something away, right? So the fact of the matter, though, is that it's a decision to do it. It's a decision based on the return you expect for doing it. It's
exactly
right. So it's interesting because Sue Firestone is recently on the podcast. Now she is a truly luxury interior designer, works with billionaires and 5-star and 6-star boutique hotels. And at that level, she has said that in the beginning, she would do certain things at no charge in order to get the attention of a high profile realtor or a high profile architect or a high profile business manager. Okay. And so it's so funny on the show because we can't do blanket statements of, hey, don't ever work for free. Right? Because that's
you
a tough
just gotta
thing.
make sure it's worth it. Right. Exactly.
You just can't work 30 hours a week and leave your kids in front of the TV with SpaghettiOs and work for free, right?
Exactly. Ramen noodles.
That's it. Ramen noodles, right? Yeah. Like for me when I was a kid, it was SpaghettiOs. Do they even make those anymore?
I hope not.
I hope not too. Ramen's bad enough, right?
Exactly.
Oh, so I'm thankful that you brought that conversation up because it is a tough hurdle for those first couple of years in business. And unfortunately, there are many designers that struggle with it 4 and 5 and 6 years into business. And so the idea is that you sit and you think to yourself when you're about to do something that's less than your value, is you consider, I often go to the little exercise of when this is done, Will I feel better about it or worse about it?
Mm-hmm.
You see, because
Yeah.
there's a difference. If your local church or your local restaurant or say there's a new restaurant that opens in your town and you could see that they could use a little help with picking paint colors and this and that, so it might take you 6 or 8 hours by the time you have your meetings and you do your things. But at the end of that, you could sort of say, yeah, this could be
It was
worth
worth
it.
it.
Yes, because I
Mm-hmm.
can come to this restaurant and they'll put a little sign or they'll just tell people that I helped them with
Right.
the colors. That's very different than feeling like you're trudging away and not earning your worth, right?
Right. Right.
Okay.
Totally agree.
Okay. So great first year lesson. And do you feel, Tiffannie, that you are solid in that lesson, or do you feel that are there times when you still struggle with wanting to be the giving person that shares your talent with somebody who might not actually technically be your client and therefore cannot technically afford you? Or are you solid and through that wall?
I am almost solid.
Okay. Okay.
I'm 95% solid.
Okay. That's great
There's
for 1 year.
always still that 5% in my heart where I just want to help somebody just because I have, that nurturing spirit about me, I think. But I can always just relay back to how it feels and what I'd really be gaining from this too.
Right. And of course, there's other ways. Look, you're building a business, so I'm not suggesting now all of a sudden you start a nonprofit end of your business. You know what I mean? Definitely. But there are other ways. We have Susan Winterstein, who has started Savvy Giving by Design, and there's many designers that have been on the show and have heard about her from the show that have now started chapters. You got to get your business off the ground. I'm not suggesting that.
Right.
However, if there were a chapter in your area, you could just lend a hand sometimes, or you could the hospital that you're so happy and thankful for, you could say to them, if there's anything I can do to spruce up a reception room, and get that feeling of giving out and put it into the universe, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So very good. Very good. I love it. It's a great lesson. And thank you for sharing it. It's not an easy thing to talk about and to own. Okay.
No, it's embarrassing, but it's also important. And it's important that people hear that, I've been through that, and we all have been through that, and anybody in business has been through that, and you will get over it. You just have to really be clear about why you're doing it and if you want it to be a business or not.
Yes, it's interesting because it's not one of the hurdles that I really did face with helping and growing Window Works with my husband, I have to say. But I think that there are some very tangible reasons why, okay? And all of my personality and all the Silva training and all my mom and my Aunt Honey in my brain and all of the books that I read on sales from I was 10 years old, notwithstanding, okay? So there is all of that, okay? There is a difference.
Right,
I did not grow up with money either, by the way. Okay. So legit did not, okay? And my mother was a single mother by the time I was 14 as well, okay?
Yeah.
So, but the thing is that one difference is that within 6 months, we rented a retail space. And I think that makes it a little bit more like game time.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Got to pay that rent, baby.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And we immediately opened with installers on payroll, with vans on that we purchased, and we immediately had an admin from day one, and we immediately had rent to pay. And so I think that yes, and so it's scary to do that, by the way.
Right.
But it makes you very, very focused and directed and cutthroat. And it's like
very intentional about what you need to bring in order for this to make sense.
Exactly. And so that is the good and the bad of it. When you work out of your own studio, your own home, you can cater or let a little bit more your giving nature slide into your business because you are maybe, but I love your analogy of understanding very tangibly that if I'm working for free and I'm not spending time with those little people, that's like, that's wasting their life away, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and you don't get that back. That's for sure.
We don't get it back.
No,
Exactly.
no, 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 no. So again, thank you for sharing that. Okay, so tell me about anything else. How about we first of all? How about other tips for e-design, since that is something, or tips on your blog? So because you're a very avid blogger and it's a
Hmm.
terrific blog, you have lots of great information there.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, and so do you have a system or a routine that you follow for that, Tiffany? Do you publish on a certain day, or how or is that like your Instagram? It's all you whenever you is ready.
Well, what you're gonna learn about me is there is no absolute method to the madness.
Okay.
A lot of the times I go with, shout out to Marie Kondo, what sparks joy, and really putting out something that I felt was perfect at the time. And usually for me it's just being about being consistent. I need to be able to put 1 to 2 blogs out there a month in order for me to feel like I'm not abandoning it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I want to continue to nurture it and take care of it, and really give the reader something to look forward to. So I don't want to go long periods of time without producing any content. Um, a lot of the times, because I work in ceramic tile, um, there might be things that come up that are more about standard practices, or more about
Hmm.
color pairing, or um, things that I get asked on a regular basis, and I think, oh, that would be nice to kind of spin off and write a blog about.
Hmm.
So there's no necessary, it's not necessarily a method to how I post. It's just about making sure that it's frequent.
Okay, okay. And so let's talk about that other in there. Your work as a consultant for Fireclay Tile, right? So
Yes,
that means, is that a full-time position for you, and your
yes,
design
it
is
is.
a side hustle?
Exactly.
Okay, okay,
Exactly.
interesting. So with your full-time position as a design consultant for Fireclay Tile, what is your responsibility? What is that job? What does that day look like for you?
Well, I know a lot of people um, don't always feel that they are in love with their job, and then that's why they lean towards entrepreneurship. But for me, it's not the case. I actually kind of love it. Sorry.
Ah,
And so I'm a design consultant. That pretty much means when a client comes needing um, tile for their tile project, I help with everything from the design aspect to selecting colors, answering questions back and forth, usually via phone, email, and chat, um, and providing them with both the product and the service.
okay. And that's how you met Beth Diana Smith, because she's here
Yeah,
on the East Coast and that's your territory. And so she's
exactly.
a client of Clay Tile.
Hmm.
And when she has projects, either she just contacts you to order them, or she can collaborate with you to help her answer questions on best designs or usage or products.
Exactly. Tile
Interesting.
trim, overages, what colors work well with what, a lot, especially because I'm doing it all virtually. I'm pretty much competing against some of the larger showrooms, so I have to create a virtual showroom. And going with different computer screens and how different monitors are set, a lot of the things look different than they do in person. So a lot of listening to what other materials might be used, and really going with sending out tile samples and things that I know would be comparable to various spaces.
Interesting. Very,
Yeah.
very interesting. And so you probably
Hmm.
are working with a lot of really nice interior designers here on the East Coast.
I
That's
am.
exciting.
It's so cool because it goes from a point of just admiring design and following people on Instagram to actually being able to work with them, and then them kind of seeing you as their tile guru, which
Yeah.
is, it's kind of like a gold star that I wear with honor.
That's awesome, Tiffany. I love that.
Yeah.
I love thinking about you in your day job because, just having those relationships, I'm sure you are bringing value to each of these interior designers because of your knowledge with all of the product and what your company is able to do and not do. But then, like you said, you're meeting some of your design stars that you see on Instagram and creating relationship with them as well. That's so awesome.
Exactly. So it comes full circle. It's really good space and environment to be able to be creative and really gain a tribe and a support system as well too. So
Yes, definitely, definitely. Oh my goodness. Have you been to High Point Market or any of the markets, Las Vegas market, any of the markets yet?
no, but I wish I follow it all on Instagram. I look at the websites and
Well, you have two
I
little
look up the
kids too, right?
hashtags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I'm
hard.
actually in April I'm going to attend Design on a Dime New York with Beth. So that'll be my
Oh,
time really being in the juice with
oh,
everyone.
that's great. We always contribute to her with Window Works for that.
Oh,
Yes,
perfect.
of course
That's
she asks,
awesome.
and we always say, of course, yes.
Yeah. That's
That's
cool.
awesome. Oh, that's great. Good for you. Okay, good, 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 good. All right, I'm happy to hear that. I'll see if I can come in and meet you. That'd be good. Uh,
Oh, I'll give you a big hug.
yeah, definitely. Me too. I'll give you right back.
Yeah.
So I want to wrap this up by asking you, big year of growth, lots of setting up of your foundations and learning lessons. Tell me, what are you thinking and hoping, or a goal or something on your sites for 2019, business wise?
Oh, I really like the idea that you can be more self-service. So, I would like to make sure that my website is robust enough to be able to purchase packages in just from the website. Currently, it's just all about leave a message, let's talk, and it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty just we have a conversation from there and we talk about the rates but I would like for it to be just really clear and there leave no room for question. There still might be question, but leave
Mm-hmm.
less room for questions so that you can just go ahead and check out and then I can provide the services once you've paid. That is something that I'm really working on for the website, as well as um, I might, switch some things up from an organizational perspective. Which you've probably noticed with me is that I uh, often work off impulse. So, in 2019, I do plan on being a lot more intentional.
Good. Very good. I'm so excited for you. It's so
Thank you.
fun to talk to you at the very beginning of your business like this. And it'll be interesting to talk to you in maybe 3 years. Not that we will wait 3 years to talk, I can tell you that. But to really dig into your business in about 3 years and see if you've got some of those packages on your website, and to see how you have blossomed and what kinds of things you have created for yourself.
Oh, I would love that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Me too. Me too. All right, lady. Well, maybe I'll see you in New York in April, but if not, we'll definitely make sure that we connect at some point on this planet. But I appreciate your coming and sharing your lessons with us and your insights and your little bit of your journey there on how you're just started this business on the side. And like you said, I also think there's a huge lesson in there that it's not out of a need of wanting to get out of the day job, that you enjoy the day job.
Right, right.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
definitely. Well, thank you so much, Luann. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I've been a listener for a while and I really value your platform, and it's cool to listen from various stages of what I'm going through and really dive in deep to past episodes and new episodes, and I thank you for producing the content that you do. I know you're managing a lot and you're doing a good job at it.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your telling me that. All righty. You have a great day, kiddo.
All right, thank you. Talk to you soon.
How lucky for Tiffannie. Not only does she love her day job, but she's creating lasting relationships with industry colleagues, and she's meeting like-minded artisans, and she's growing her own business expertise all the while doing it. The big takeaways from Tiffannie's first year in business include charging what you're worth and knowing the difference between giving your services away because you feel guilty or because there is a solid reason to do the project. A few weeks ago at Luann Nigara Live, where we launched my new book, A Well-Designed Business, The Power Talk Friday Experts, which you can get at luannigara.com/book 2, we had a panel discussion with one of my co-authors, Nancy Ganzikaufer. She wrote the chapter, Charge What You Are Worth. I paired Nancy with Keisha Franklin, the principal of Halden Interiors. And Keisha was originally on the show, episode number 370. It's a very terrific interview. Keisha was so forthcoming, and I got a lot of feedback on Keisha on that interview. She really is somebody that is willing to connect and share. So I'm sure you will like it. If you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it. But in our panel discussion, the three of us, we talked about this exact distinction when you are doing work for free or a lesser rate. Of course, Nancy talked about how it is so important to get through the fear and get through the guilt of charging what your experience, your knowledge, and your systems warrant. Okay. But then Keisha talked about the nuances of evaluating if you are going to work for a lesser rate or at sometimes for no money, how you must really be real with yourself that there is a return on investment for that project. Meaning sometimes you do truly know there will be a tangible marketing benefit, or there might be a collaboration that you know will be valuable, or simply the experience of executing that particular type of project has value. All right. So there are some reasons that you might consider working this way. But I love Tiffannie's way to check herself. She measures the time to do the project, okay, the return on the investment, against missing time with her children, right? I mean, how real does that get, right? Because if you're doing something for free and you're doing it simply because you felt guilty or you didn't want to say no, and you could be with your kids, isn't that visceral right there where you go, whoa, whoa, whoa. I should be with my kids right now and I'm working for free. Or the comparison of, okay, I'm not able to be with my kids right now, but I'm doing this project and this project is going to result in XYZ, because we all spend time away from our kids working. Okay. So let's just move on from that ideal, right? We all know that we all have to work. And if we have kids, it's a fact of life. But the thing is that when we're working at something we're getting paid for, we say, I'm at work. My kids are well cared for. It's all good. But when we're working at something that we're not getting paid for and we should be getting paid for it, it's like Tiffannie said, is that really smart? Is that really the way I want to do this? So I just love it. I just think it's so insightful of her to use that specific sentence to herself as a gut check. Good on you, Tiffannie. All right. And then I also love the aha that she shared when she realized how hard it would be to create and collect portfolio-worthy pictures by doing e-design. Okay, that's like, oh yeah, this isn't so easy to do. But what I love is that she didn't just say, oh, well, poor me, #baby designer, mistake, didn't know what to do. No, she now knows she knows it's important for her to create something that will express and attract what her talents are as an e-designer. And so what she's done is she's decided that she creates beautiful mood boards, and she writes in her blog the process of e-design, right? So by writing about the process of e-design and showing beautiful mood boards that she creates, she can still show her potential clients what they can expect if they choose to work with her. I just think it's an awesome idea and a great way around a big obstacle. So a big, huge thank you to you, Tiffannie, for being honest about your first year in business and for understanding that the story that you have told just might be the light bulb moment for one of your colleagues. And also a big thanks to Article.com. Not only did they provide their beautiful Sven chair in hashtag podcast green velvet for my new book cover, they also provided the fabulous Nord chairs, also in hashtag podcast green. I'm thinking they're going to have to name an actual chair color, podcast green. What do you guys think? But anyway, they also provided the beautiful Nord chairs for the stage at Luann Niagara Live, okay? They are ready and equipped to help you set up your trade account today. Head over to welldesigned.article.com, okay? It's welldesigned.article.com so that you can see these beautiful chairs along with their entire line of Scandinavian-inspired mid-century furniture. They have everything for living rooms to dining rooms, office decor, and outdoor furniture. So head over to welldesigned.article.com and set up your To The Trade account today. All right? And if you haven't gotten your hands on my new book yet, with all 12 chapters written by the best of the best in the industry on topics from defining your brand to planning for profit to charging your worth, go to luannniagara.com/book2. All right. Thank you for joining me today. I just love spending time with you. You know, I picture you here with me, right? Like, you know that part. Like, I'm not really alone in a room. I'm really picturing all of your faces. And I'm just so grateful and happy for the community that we are creating together. Each time I see you in person, I am more and more energized and fulfilled by what we're doing together. And I thank you for it. I thank you so much. I truly do. And I just want to say, what are you going to do today? What's going to be your decision, right? Got to take it from an idea to an action. You have to decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at luannniagara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.